Hello and welcome to another episode of Momental Malum. In this episode we'll cover a biography of Reverend W T Hutchens. He was a main player in spreading sweet pea throughout the United States. He lived from 1849 to 1917. In reading the literature of the period, he is popping up all across different parts of sweet pea literature. His first book on sweet peas was called All About Sweet Peas, an art monograph, published in 1892 by the Burpee Seed Company, who he worked with. In 1897, he wrote up another book called Sweet Peas Up to Date. Both books were partially for promoting the Burpee Company, but more so for promoting sweet pea as a general theme. He viewed the Burpee Seed Company as the best sweet pea breeding company within the United States, promoting such varieties such as Cupid. He also bred his own varieties such as Daybreak and Hyde Bailey, but his beginnings were quite humble. William T. Hutchens was born in Massachusetts in January 1849. His father was a cabinet maker who worked in various communities, especially during the Civil War, when the family lived in Illinois. One of his brothers became a minister, and his oldest sister married Henry Sykes, a prosperous Connecticut farmer. Up until 1870, he was listed as a laborer, but in 1878, he graduated from Yale University and was ordained as a priest at the same year. Most surviving records indicate that he was a very engaging personality, filled with zeal for gardening and for his faith. He owned his own orchard, which he later made public to showcase sweet peas and flowers when they're at their peak. As soon as he found sweet peas, he was enchanted for life. Indeed, one record from 1950, written by Charles H. Curtis, he was often seen as a very enthusiastic grower of sweet peas, and had a charismatic voice that could bring anybody into his passion. During the heyday of sweet peas, he was often invited by various individuals to different parties based around sweet pea, such as the Crystal Palace in Sydenham. Mr. Curtis also recorded portions of what he said. One quote was that the sweet pea has migrated now to America, not only desires to pay her debt with interest to Great Britain, but would be glad to put a liberal row of sweet peas into every garden on the face of the earth. He also made a speech, also quoted by Curtis, stating that the fragrance is like the universal gospel, yes, a sweet prophecy of welcome everywhere that's been abundantly fulfilled. Although he had many different gifts, one of these was not the immunity to depression. Based on a letter written to his friend Nelson Adams in 1909, he wrote down, "I feel impatient to have years speed on, that I may go on to a more congenial world," and continued even more despairing tones during the World War I era. He and his wife, Charlotte, had 2 children. The elder child, William H., was born in 1978 and went to Yale. There's no further reference to his second child beyond the fact of its birth. As Mr. Hutchens grew older, he began missionary work in Northampton, Massachusetts. However, possibly due to his depression, he began denying the divinity of Jesus and miracles, moving on to different sects of Christianity that denied both aspects. This is likely an influence of Mr. Luther Burbank, of whom he was in contact with. In time, he moved to his final house in Francistown, New Hampshire. Due to his poor financial circumstances, none of the positions he held were very lucrative, but nonetheless, he was able to educate his son at Yale, and later on tried to become an artist, which was partially successful. In combination with his inheritance and his connections with Burpee, he continued to live a relatively comfortable life, and continue to produce new varieties of sweet pea at the same point. And at the same point, continue to promote sweet pea to whoever would listen. In one lecture, he mentioned that a mayor of Newton Highland in Massachusetts named JFC had a wide array of sweet pea in his garden. And it's this happenstance glimpse into that garden that allowed him to gain the appreciation he had for sweet pea. Prior to his falling out of the clergy, he used most of his money to improve the missionary society of his church. This money was obtained through his work with sweet pea. His final end, in 1903, however, His wife perished from renal failure. Since that point, he had recurring nervous breakdowns and acute episodes of depression that were quite suicidal in nature. In early 1917, he had one more nervous breakdown where he took his own life, bringing an unfortunate end to this great sweet pea breeder. Nonetheless, like the legacies of others before him, his legacy would continue to survive to this day, both through the Burpee Seed Company, whom he helped promote, and the sweet pea varieties he bred. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.